Hello and welcome to HomeTech. HomeTech is a podcast dedicated to discovering new and emerging technologies for the home. We discuss news about the Internet of Things, home automation, and more. I'm Seth Johnson in Florida, and I'm joined by Jason Griffin in Los Angeles. Hi everyone, welcome to HomeTech. Jason, how's it going?
It's going great, Seth. How are you?
Doing well. Short, long week. Always the short weeks here before the holidays. Lots of work, stuff needs to get done.
Yeah, definitely.
And last week you had vacation, so you get a short week after vacation. That can't be so bad.
Yeah, exactly. Which is nice, but kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because I came back from vacation on Sunday and started the work week on Monday, and just buried from a week off, and kind of only had 4 days to make up for lost ground. But it's nice. Yeah, when we're recording here tonight, it's July 3rd, Thursday. So it's the night before the 4th. So that's a big holiday, nice 3-day weekend. We're excited and looking forward to, kind of enjoying a nice relaxed weekend back here in town.
Yeah, and for those listening overseas, the 4th is a pretty big holiday. Here in the U.S., this is when we celebrate. Basically, we beat the aliens, I think, is how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. And by way of celebration, I'm doing something I don't normally do, and I have a cold beer right next to me here as we're recording. So
very nice.
Let the festivities begin.
This is going to be our best episode yet.
You got it.
All right, well, everybody, we want to say thanks for listening. And you can check out our show notes for this episode and every episode at HomeTech.fm. Also, you can check us out on technology.fm, where we're surrounded by a number of great technology-type podcasts. And if you'd like to, feel free to swing by and rate it, give us a good rating on iTunes.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, for people that enjoy our podcast, if they haven't gone by technology.fm and checked out, kind of what's going on over there, they definitely should, because there's a lot of really great podcasts over there. Particularly Michael Wolf's own Smart Home show is a really great podcast for people who are into the smart home and home automation. Highly encouraged that they go over there and check that out. But like you said, we appreciate people tuning in, and we hope they enjoy the show. Definitely.
Now, Jason, being off last week, you missed some pretty big news coming from Google at their Google I/O event.
Yeah, I was keeping an eye on it a little bit, just checking emails and Google alerts, and it sounds to me like the keynote was a little bit of a snoozer. I sort of got the overall impression on Twitter and whatnot that people were a little bit, I don't know, did you watch it? Was it just long-winded, or what was your takeaway from it?
Yeah, I think they need to put like a limit on the length of keynotes down to like maybe 2 hours. Like that's a hard cutoff. And if you can't get everything in, I don't know. They had some pretty cool things they kind of led with, but then it was just everybody. It seemed like everybody at Google got a chance to show off their project, and by the end you're just exhausted because honestly, a lot of the stuff could have been covered later on in sessions or something, but there was just a lot of stuff that didn't really need to be in a keynote.
Yeah.
It could have been a bullet point on anybody else's keynote, but we got a full demo at Google I/O, so
yeah.
that was kind of what I got out of it.
Yeah, as somebody who's sort of studied public speaking, I'm a member of a local Toastmasters chapter here in Los Angeles. It's hard to hold an audience's attention for longer than 45 minutes to an hour, let alone more than 2 hours. So, that's was kind of the overall impression I got. But the takeaway from Google I/O is I do think that there were a couple of exciting announcements that people in the smart home and home automation space can kind of get excited about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think most people were concentrating on the wearables and the I guess they're watches. I don't know. I'm not convinced yet. They look kind of cool.
I know, and you and I think, agree to a certain extent on wearables, and we won't really go there. It's still an immature product category. I do think that eventually wearables are going to be something that we all just kind of assume. Like, we used to talk about smartphones, and now we just kind of know that if you buy a phone, more than likely you're going to buy a smartphone, right? Like, that's just it's sort of become the norm. And I think that wearable technology, to a certain extent, is going to become the same way. And Google is making a big push in that market with Android Wear. But I agree with you. It's not a particular segment of technology that I get like particularly excited about.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, what they did show was a little bit better than what I was imagining. So I'm not going to go out and buy one tomorrow, but I'd say, okay, this might have some legs to it. Let's see what people come up with. And yeah, like you said, it's in its infancy.
It will have legs to it. I mean, I have no doubt about it that like our device, the things that we wear on our bodies, particularly watches, are a great example. I think it's a no-brainer. I don't think there's a lot of debate to the fact that in general, those devices are going to get smarter. There's going to be intelligence built into watches. It's a no-brainer. But as far as getting excited about it right now, it's wearables it's a category that I sort of keep an eye on, but it's not something that I'm dying to go out and spend $200 or $300 on a watch because it, will tell me when I have a text message or something. You know what I mean?
No, definitely.
It's just not quite there yet for me, but I think it's a no-brainer. It's coming. It's just a matter of time.
All right. Well, we'll revisit this in a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? There could be something from Apple. They're saying there is going to be something from Apple later this year. So this could be a lot more mainstream, and Google will have taken this product that they announced and refined it. Apple will come out with whatever they come out, and they'll over time refine. So, like you said, it's very early in this market, and maybe I guess it would kind of be cool to have like a little pause button on your wrist, and you just like phone rings or something, you hit pause, and you can.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of read my mind there. Like, what I was thinking is that where this product category, wearables, really gets interesting for people like you and me is when it truly starts to integrate with home automation and smart home technology and home control. And so you've got products that you wear that kind of the intelligence in your home can monitor what room you're in and maybe execute certain actions when you move in and out of rooms. And that stuff is coming. I mean, it's to a certain extent, it's already there, but it's a little bit early, and I'm just not, like, I think you and I differ a little bit on it. You're, I think, a little bit less enthusiastic about it. I keep an eye on it, and I think we both realize the potential of that market. But right now, it's kind of it's just early. It's early in the market.
And I guess I'm just expecting like awesome product, and right now, since it's so early, we don't get that awesome product. We get kind of a subpar product, and
you get like betas.
Yeah, exactly. So that wasn't the only thing they covered. They announced Android TV, which I thought was pretty cool. It's a software that they're going to give out to OEMs to toss on to their devices. So like a Sony TV or Samsung TV could load Android TV into it, and it'd have all these really cool advanced features built into it right out of the box.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'll be honest with you, I haven't really had time to delve into Android TV. And I don't know if you have either, to kind of understand the implications of it or what the offering really entails. I do know that, gosh, it must have been 3, maybe even 4 years ago now. I had a job where I had a client who wanted he got one of those Logitech, the Google TV boxes.
Yep.
And had the little keyboard that came with it, and implemented that for him. And, it was actually kind of a cool product. Like, there were a couple of times after the system had been deployed that I was over there towards the end of the day, and we were hanging out, and I was kind of helping him figure out how to use it. It was one of these devices that sometimes clients come to you at the middle of a job, right? And they say, hey, I bought this. Can you implement it for me? And it totally came as a curveball. And we implemented it, and there were a lot of kind of cool features about it. Like, I actually really enjoyed it. There was a previous episode where you and I talked about YouTube Lean Back, and I don't even know what became of that, but that was a little platform that Google, I think, was working. Well, gosh, that may have even been before Google owned YouTube. I don't know, but it was a YouTube platform where it was designed for like the 10-foot interface where you're sitting in your living room. And I don't know, there was a lot of cool features to it, but for whatever reason, it just never took off. It never caught on.
Yeah, and that's the main reason I'm not going to give too much emotional investment into the Android TV, just because, man, I really, really thought Google TV was going to be a huge hit. It was done right. It was engineered right.
So it wasn't just me?
No, it just fizzled away. I mean, Google didn't. I don't know. I'm not sure what they did. They just didn't do it right. So hopefully this will be something they can turn around and make happen, and maybe it'll show up on, a million TVs, and it'll take off. So here's to hoping. But I've been burned by Google.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I think that in general, smart TVs have been one of these categories that integrators in general are just not super excited about. Like, Samsung comes to mind right away. Samsung, all of their TVs for the last couple of years have had various implementations of their smart TV platform with like access to Netflix and Hulu and all these things. But as an integrator, I'll be honest with you, and you may have a different opinion than me, but we hate them. We absolutely the interfaces we find are slow, clunky, unreliable. The network connection speeds are very slow. We can't get into it. And when clients, we sell them TVs, right? And we give them a TV, we install it on the wall, and they assume that because the TV has these smart features built into it, that they should be using them, right? And we just, like, it's a natural assumption for them to make, and we can't fault them for that. But at the same time, we're like, the Apple TV for $99 will give you a user experience overall that is far, far better than actually using the built-in apps on your TV. Like, it's just not there yet. It really isn't, in my opinion. And so maybe Android TV eventually can change that. But right now, I'm not sold on the built-in apps on TVs. Like, they just don't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I set up 4 or 5 Samsung TVs today. It was a lot of fun. And it was, go in, turn off the crappy AutoMotion Plus. I mean, just that's got to go. No more.
Man, you could do a whole episode on that.
Oh, man. If you have a Samsung TV, go into your picture settings and find AutoMotion Plus and turn it off, and your TV will look...
The soap opera effect.
Yeah, it'll look so much better. You'll enjoy watching TV again. Because Samsungs actually have a pretty good picture on most of their TVs until you turn that feature on, and it comes on by default. I have no idea why. Horrible, 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 horrible. Ugh.
And How do you really feel?
Yeah. And then I have to go through and I have to turn off all the smart features and turn off the smart TV boot logo so clients don't ask me about the smart TV thing that doesn't work so well. And that's my favorite part. And then also there's one thing that you have to go. I guess they fixed it in the latest TVs I've noticed when you go in through and you're setting them up. The previous run of Samsung TVs would kind of walk you through this universal remote thing, and you'd have to add in a device and then delete the device later on. Yeah, and now you don't. It says skip this
nuts.
step finally, and it skips like 7 steps on the setup. It's awesome. So that got a little bit better towards the end of the day when we had some newer TVs, but the older ones are still floating around out there.
Mm-hmm.
AutoMotion Plus, turn it off.
That's the takeaway, which we didn't even intend to touch on, but there you go.
Right. Well, I think last week, right before, maybe like Monday, Nest announced that they'd be doing Nest is owned by Google now, so this kind of falls in line with Google I/O since the Nest class was at Google, and we were predicting last week that there would be something big announcement. Sure enough, like right after we recorded the show, I think either Friday or Monday, Nest dropped the API and said, hey, we're good to go. And then I think sometime right before that, Nest purchased DropCam. I'm not sure if that was like the Friday before the weekend.
No, I don't remember the sequence of events there, but obviously separate stories. The Nest API is a big deal. It was announced at like that they were going to do it at CEDIA last year, so we've been waiting for it kind of forever. And it was a big story, obviously, that they finally came out with it, and now there's official if this then that integrations, and that's great. You can do some cool things with your Nest thermostat now. But to me, as far as Nest is concerned, the bigger story was their DropCam acquisition. And one thing that I couldn't quite figure out about it, and you and I were texting about this, is like, how does that work? Because all of the stories that I saw said Nest acquires DropCam, but Nest is owned by Google. So I guess technically Google acquired DropCam. I don't know. It's kind of semantics. I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. But I thought that was interesting. I guess I just anticipated, like, there was a lot of rumors going around that this acquisition was going to happen. And I guess I just anticipated that when the headlines came across, it would say Google acquires DropCam. And
cameras are in your home. Google now there's instead of Street View, you can walk right into everyone's home and look around.
Yeah. I don't know. Did that even like catch your eye? Did you think about that? Because I did. I was like, well, what does that mean, Nest? Because Nest is owned by Google. Like, yeah, you know what I mean?
It did kind of float into my head, and they're just operating Nest right now like it's still kind of a separate company outside of Google. I suspect in the future that there'll be a little more closer integration between the brands, but right now it seems like Nest has a pretty powerful brand behind them, and so does Google, but it seems right now they're operating the two companies kind of separately. But what I think this does for Nest is it gives it. I mean, Nest is a full-blown home automation system now. I mean, because DropCam, we covered this a couple of weeks back, where they have little Bluetooth sensors now, where they can tell if doors that are open and closed.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really Nest is actually turning into a huge platform, kind of one small step at a time.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. When you think about home automation going mainstream, there's a couple of categories that really stand out that are kind of driving home automation into the mainstream. And a couple of those categories are HVAC and climate control, because if you have more intelligence built into that sort of a system, you can save money. And that appeals to a very broad market of people, not just tech enthusiasts who like to tinker, and that's kind of what the idea behind Nest is. And then one of the other product categories that sort of is pushing home automation into that space is security and home monitoring. And the sort of trend that's going on in that vertical right now is that people don't necessarily want a really heavy system installed in their home where, a traditional security system where you have to have a bunch of wiring in place and you're paying a monthly subscription fee. And a company like DropCam, really at the end of the day, is a security and home monitoring company, right? Like
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a camera that you can watch your home. You can keep an eye on your house. They offer cloud DVR storage, so if something does happen, you're able to go back, X number of hours and watch that. And so with these two companies under their belt, Google has now kind of not silently, but has sort of pushed its way into a couple of the main categories that really are going to drive home automation. So it's just interesting to see how these two come together and how, to think about how all of these pieces come into play in terms of Google's longer term ambitions and strategies moving into the smart home space.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is kind of like, oh, Apple is getting into the smart home and Google's getting into the smart home. I think right now we can officially say that Google is in the smart home market. And I mean, it's just, it feels interesting because all this stuff we've been doing for years, it's all kind of going mainstream, and it's getting so much easier to do. Mm-hmm. The setting up a Nest thermostat is child's play compared to some of the smart thermostats and Wi-Fi thermostats that I've had to use over the years. Drop cam, very easy to set up too. I mean, it's interesting, and I've always pointed this out to people. Nest, it's named Nest for a reason. They want to, you want to make your nest the way you want it to be, your home. It's kind of a, one of those synonyms. They're not going to stop. They weren't going to stop at smoke detectors and thermostats. They have a full plan for the home, and I can't wait to see what their entire product line is going to offer, because if it's as nice and easy to set up as these two products, they're going to be a very, very cool home automation company,
right,
in the very near future.
Yeah, and one thing I thought was interesting, and on HomeTech.fm, we really actually make a conscious effort to kind of not cover the Silicon Valley business angle of these things, but of these deals, you know what I mean? But I thought it was interesting that Nest was acquired for $3.2 billion, and I believe Dropcam was acquired for like $55 million. And so it's that's a fraction of the value. And I don't know what that means or what I mean to say by that, but I just thought it was interesting. I was looking at it, and $55 million, it's like, wow, that's a lot of money. But when you think about Nest being acquired for $3.2 billion, like, what accounts for that difference? And I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
Well, I mean, I think the install base for Nest is higher. I don't know if that even matters, though. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a money guy. I can't even imagine $3 billion,
Like, our angle is on the end user, and that's really where our interest lies. But I just thought that it was worth noting the difference. I mean, there are two, in my mind, when I look at the sort of industrial design on these products and the, I don't know, just overall user experience, I guess, I look at them as very similar products, kind of different. They solve very different problems, but I look at them as sort of similar category. Well, not similar categories, but just, kind of in the same class. And the valuations on them were just so staggeringly different that it just kind of caught my eye.
Yep. No, that's an interesting point. I have no idea how these numbers. It seems like people just make up money numbers and these days. And I mean, there was that Yo app. Have you seen that?
55 million. It's like, okay, well, 55 million's pretty good. I'll take it.
Yeah. Have you seen that app, the Yo app? Have you seen that?
No, I have not.
It's an app that some guy made in like 8 hours time, and you load it on your phone, and all you can do is send Yo to other people that have the app. That's all you can do. Got $1 million for it. I mean, come on. Like, I just, sometimes these Silicon Valley things are just crazy.
Yeah.
So,
which, that's why we kind of, I guess, stay away from that angle. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that.
Yo. All right. Well, so speaking of money, it looks like Staples Connect got a little upgrade and price drop.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a big deal because, and we did a whole episode early on about the Staples Connect, and I have to be honest, when I first heard that Staples was entering the automation space, I was a little bit, I guess, quick to sort of dismiss it. Didn't really take it seriously, but it turns out that there's a company behind it, Zonoff, and they are a legitimate company. I mean, they're a tech company, and they are producing actually a very cool platform, that kind of a white label platform that people like Staples can go and rebrand and sort of tweak and do their own things with. But they're actually really making a serious claim here, and the product, and we actually, on our initial episode when we talked about it, gave it an, overall like a favorable opinion. We were both actually very impressed by it, at least on paper. I don't, to be honest, have any direct experience with it, but this week they announced a price drop down to $49, which it was $99 before, I believe. And they also announced a step-up model, which will sell for $79 and adds Bluetooth and Zigbee on top of the radios that they already had in it, which were Wi-Fi, Z-Wave, and Clear Connect. So, which is a Lutron protocol. So, it's a pretty powerful little device and very, very affordably priced.
Yeah, I really like this. I mean, it's the only complaint I've heard about the Linksys, the Staples Connect, and I guess the Zonoff model in general here, is that it goes out to the cloud to communicate. So when you say, turn on these lights, it has to go out to the cloud, and the logic's done up there, and it goes back down through the hub, and the hub executes the commands, rather than the home automation systems that you and I are familiar with, where you hit a button, it goes directly to the processor. The processor, in a few milliseconds, spits out the command to the device, and the device turns on. It's almost as if there's no latency. But when you have to go out over the internet, there's all sorts of latency that can get added in, and I'm sure it's fast. But that's really the only complaint I've heard about it. But for the price, I mean, you're talking a fraction of what a home. Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. $49.
Yeah.
So
a tiny fraction. And, it's flat out just not a product that's designed for people who are wanting to do full-blown home automation. That's not what it's designed for. But if you're in the market to just add a little bit of intelligence to your home, and maybe you want to automate a few light switches, or you have some motorized shading from Lutron that you're going to be adding to your home, it's a no-brainer at that point. And this product has been out for a little while. It was selling in a very small number of stores, and it looks like middle of this month they're going to up that number significantly. So it's going to be available in 500 retail stores starting July 15th. So Staples is really making a big push here, and it seems like they really believe in this market, meaning the home automation and smart home market, and they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, this almost reminds me of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this reminds me of Radio Shack. This is what Radio Shack would be doing. They should have their own home automation system. Why would I go to Staples?
Right. Yeah, I think the market, people's minds would be a little bit more inclined to think of home automation and associate Radio Shack with that sort of technology than Staples. I agree with you there.
But now there's 500 of these stores that are going to have home automation in them, like home automation products. I could go there, pick up a hub, pick up a couple of lighting, wall outlet devices, and bring them, back to my home or office, and get a small little automation system up and going. I mean, that's pretty killer. And I think, I don't know, we've kind of covered in the past all the troubles that Radio Shack's had. It just seems like Staples now is the new Radio Shack. You go there and you see all these really cool products.
No, that's an interesting point. I hadn't thought of it that way. And I know that one of the things that came up in a number of these stories is the Insteon angle. And we've talked about Insteon before. It's Insteon is a very, very well-established platform. It was a home automation platform that was established years and years ago, and it's still got a ton of users that are out there. And there was sort of talk of Insteon integration coming to the Staples Connect platform, and right now, as of right now, it hasn't. But they've kind of teased it, like they said, Insteon is coming. I think they said that when it does come, it will require the addition of a separate hub. But still, I mean, you're talking about a $49 device, or let's step up to the $79 one, right? You've got a hub that's capable of doing Wi-Fi, Z-Wave, Clear Connect, Bluetooth, and Zigbee for $79. Like, that's insanely cheap. And for the right person who's just looking to maybe add a little bit of intelligence to their apartment, it's just one of these products that there's so many of them out there on the market now that looks really, really compelling.
No, definitely. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And Insteon, I guess they're kind of officially now in the Microsoft stores. So I guess maybe there's a place where a Staples store is right next door to a Microsoft store, so you kind of have to like go both places to get those devices. I'm not sure, but
yeah, and we're looking at doing maybe an episode here coming up where we talk a little bit more about Insteon, and we've got a couple of different experts that are kind of more immersed in that market that we're looking at bringing on the show. I think Insteon is a compelling platform, and I don't want to get too sidetracked. There's a couple more points I want to make on the Staples Connect platform, but Insteon, yeah, they're looking, very healthy right now, right? Like Microsoft is one of these players. Everybody's talking right now about Google and Apple in home automation, and Microsoft seems kind of like the underdog, which is a rare position for them to be in. And now they're they've got a home automation accelerator that they just started up, and they've got Insteon selling in Microsoft stores, and you can go to microsoftstore.com and shop for Insteon products. So they're even looking at the space too. I mean, it's just too big of a space for any of these big players to continue ignoring. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to get us kind of sidetracked there too much to start talking about Insteon and Microsoft, but it's interesting that this all seems so mainstream now. These are all consumer products, and I mean, the Staples Connect hub that works with the Lutron Cassetta line, or Cassetta. I can't remember how they pronounce it.
Cassetta. I actually don't know.
Tomato. Yeah. So it's all available. It's right there. And it, from what I understand, it works pretty well too. So for $49, I mean, that's hard to pass up.
And we were talking about wearables earlier, and one of the announcements that they made this week was an integration with Jawbone Up, which is a very popular little wearable kind of bracelet that you put on, and they're integrating with that, so that bracelet can kind of be put into, one of the examples that I saw was that bracelet can be put into sleep mode, and then when you wake up, you can kind of turn it out of sleep mode, and maybe the shades come up and the lights come on. And just those things that sound nowadays kind of simple and commonplace, not even 5 years ago, it would have cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars to implement that. So
yeah, that's magical.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting.
I mean, a Jawbone Up probably costs $100. The Staples things another $50. Get a couple of lights and some shades, and you're probably not over $1,500 to do some. I mean, that right there, just taking the Jawbone Up out of sleep mode and kind of raising the shades and turning the lights or something. That's pretty cool. Maybe when you put it into sleep mode, it turns off the lights, lowers the shades. I mean, that's awesome.
It's just, that's a very useful application of wearables, which we were kind of touching on earlier, as a tie into home automation, and stuff like that is happening and is available for like extremely affordable prices right now. So that is very exciting. Did you happen to see, we were talking about smart TVs earlier. Did you happen to see in this Staples Connect announcement that there's some new integrations with Samsung smart TVs?
Is that, you mean the thing I turn off on all my TVs?
Yeah, that thing that all the integrators turn off. Yeah. No, it's for integrators who are doing full blown automation systems. Yeah, we're pretty much turning that off. But it's interesting, right? Like if you're an end user, you've got a very, let's say you live in a small apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, and you've got a Samsung smart TV, and you go out and you buy one of these $49 Staples Connect hubs. You can now theoretically, I have no idea what this looks like or how the implementation is, but you can now theoretically turn your Samsung smart TV into a home automation hub. And that's was just an announcement this week. So that's a brand new feature. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think the killer app for that would be if as soon as you hooked up the Staples Connect, it disables AutoMotion Plus on your Samsung TV.
Touche.
There we go. That's killer feature number 1.
Yeah. Also, Windows 8. They announced Windows 8 was the other app partner that they announced with. So as far as user interfaces go, they've now got Windows 8, Samsung smart TVs, and of course iOS and Android as app platforms.
That's pretty cool. I mean, we talked about Windows 8 in the past and how horrible of a desktop it is, but I mean, for home automation, I really like that tile interface where it kind of gives you little live updates. That really works well for that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, we're talking about a $49 basically home automation hub, which is just still insane to me. I have a hard time wrapping my brain around that.
Well, what I'm going to tell you next will blow your mind. So there's this thing called Quirky out there, and it's this kind of like I guess GE started it to kind of, I guess, do research or something. I'm not sure. It's a really cool community type setup. And what you can do is, if you're an inventor, you have this idea, you can go there and submit your idea to Quirky, and then I guess the community gets around it and backs it up or votes it up, and then they all kind of refine it, and then maybe one day Quirky kind of puts things together and builds the product that you invented. And it looks like they're coming out with a Wink, what's called a Quirky Wink, which is their hub, their home automation hub, and it's going to be sold in Home Depot. And not that this will be kind of old news once the episode hits, but on July 7th, if you buy it on Home Depot or Amazon, if you buy 2 products that can connect to the hub, you can buy the hub for 99 cents.
Which is just ridiculous.
They're giving hubs away.
They are, and I don't know what the incentive is really. I mean, at that point, it's, because as far as I know, none of these products are tied to like a monthly subscription service. So I could kind of see that point if they were giving this hub away in a way to kind of entice you into a service that they were going to charge you monthly for. But no, they're not. They're just basically saying, buy a couple of smart products and we'll give you the hub for 99 cents. So I guess it's just a push for them to kind of drive awareness. And it's GE is behind this, and GE is obviously a massive company. And this started as an initiative, like you said, behind Quirky, which was a website that was kind of I guess in a way, a crowdsourcing website. But they kind of were building technology products. It was a community-based website. And they had a Wink app that if there was a tech product that got built on Quirky, it would be compatible with the Wink app. And then I think they sort of saw the light, and they decided that Wink should be its own standalone business, and they have spun that off, and Wink is now its own business, and you have the Wink hub hitting the market. Home Depot has bought in. They're going to be selling it. I don't know how the folks at Revolve feel about that. Like, this is got to be kind of a blow to them, I would think, because Wink is a home automation hub. Revolve is a home automation hub that sells for, I don't know, $299 or $399. I can't even remember, but this thing sells for $79, and that's just a sign of the times.
Yeah, that it's interesting you bring that up. Yeah, Revolve was kind of like a big hit at CEDIA last year. People were really interested to see them there and talk to them. I think you're right. It's like $200 for the Revolve hub, but all of these other players are coming to the market. Staples Connect, this one. I mean, this one has the Wink has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, low energy, so BTLE, Z-Wave, Zigbee, and it also supports the Lutron Cassetta. So you could actually go to Staples, buy your Lutron dimmers, and then head back over to Wink and purchase the hub for, I guess, 99 cents or $79 or whatever you can get it for.
Yeah, insane. And again, these are not, for people listening, they're not products that are going to automate your brand new 5,000 square foot home with full-blown control of everything. But if you're in the market for a little bit of home technology and you want to add some intelligence to your house and automate a few smart products and kind of bring them together under one umbrella app, it's a super compelling product, and it's just one that you can't ignore. I mean, this product, Wink, was getting a ton of coverage this week. I kept seeing it come across various blogs and Twitter, and I don't know if it's just their PR department doing their job very well or what it is, but it's making a splash, and it's hard to ignore. For $79, you're getting a pretty powerful product, and there you go. You got home automation for next to nothing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's kind of a lot of movement and things going on in the kind of the do-it-yourself world, but also in the pro world. In Control4 purchased a company called Card Access, which, if you're a Control4 dealer and you've ever gone to any Control4 training, Card Access is one of the companies you learn about kind of on day one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm kind of leaning on you a little bit on this story because, like, I worked for a Control4 dealer for about a year, and during that year, I actually did Control4 programming. So I am familiar with Card Access and what they do from a high level. Like, I understand that, but I always just kind of thought of them as one business to begin with. Like, it just seemed like such a natural acquisition. I wasn't surprised by this news, but I guess it makes sense. I'm just curious, from your perspective as a Control4 dealer, like, what do you think the implications are of this? I mean, is this a big deal for dealers or end users? Like, what does this deal really mean?
Well, Card Access was kind of a bigger company, and the story that I got long ago is that their owners or someone at the top really liked home automation. They were in the same building as Control4. I think they were like the next office down in the office complex that Control4 is in, and Card Access produces some interesting radio technology. They really specialize in radio technology. So one of the owners really liked Control4 home automation. They were right next door. They said, "Oh, we'll make some Zigbee devices for you," and they kind of sold them that way for a long time.
So if I can just interrupt you for a second, just in case people are listening, like, Card Access likes radio technology, but like, what specific products? Can you touch on that? Because I think motion detectors that you could just kind of stick on the wall were one of them that comes to mind. Was there anything else you can touch on there?
Yeah, motion sensors, relay sensors, relay and sensor. Sorry, it's like a combined thing. So you can have a wireless Zigbee relay and a wireless Zigbee contact sensors that you could stick on a door and tell if the door opened or closed. They also had like pressure sensors, so you could tell if someone you could, I guess, put it under some carpet or something and tell if somebody walked across that carpet. I think they were using them like under bed, so you could, like, when you lay down in your bed, you could turn off the lights or something like that. So it's kind of a kind of like a hand-in-hand company with Control4 for so long. Like you said, most dealers probably thought they were the one and the same, but they were definitely two different companies. And kind of Control4 is a public company now, and they've said in their public documents that they would be doing some acquisitions and kind of building out their product line a little bit more. And this is probably one of those moves. It just makes sense to me because the products that Card Access was making integrate extremely well with Control4, to the point where you really can't tell that they're not a Control4 product. And this way, if a dealer has a problem with, something breaks or something, they can go through Control4 for the warranty rather than going through another company, which really makes a lot of sense.
Right. So you've kind of got one neck to wring. I mean, we don't at the current firm that I'm working at, we don't sell a lot of Control4. But like I said, I worked for a firm for 1 year that we were doing Control4. I was doing some programming. I did a couple of kind of medium-sized systems, but mostly during that short year, I was kind of doing service of existing systems. And I know that we worked with Card Access with their motion sensors, and I think that one of the main things that we were using was a Zigbee like repeater. That was a Card Access product, right?
Yes. They had Zigbee only has a certain range, so if you have a light that's isolated off in the corner of the house, you could put this little device in between here and there, and it would repeat the Zigbee signal out to that device, and then the signal comes back from that device. It gets repeated back to the home automation system.
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, for Control4 dealers and consumers, it's a good thing. I think it's a good acquisition because, if anything, it'll just, I guess, improve the accountability of Control4 to ensure that they're, making products that are very compatible with one another, and that the reliability is there, and that there's no, I guess, finger pointing. When we do large scale home automation or home technology systems, there's just so many different moving parts that it's very easy, generally speaking, for manufacturers to kind of point the finger at one another if things aren't working correctly. So when I see an acquisition like Control4 buying Card Access, I think that generally it's a very good thing for the market, because those two products have to work well together for Control4 consumers to have a good user experience. So I think for the responsibility for that to be under one roof is generally a good thing.
Yeah. And if you look at, smart things, they I guess they may have a couple of sensors that they build in-house. I'm not sure, but a lot of their sensors are third party as well. But if you look at, I kind of take a step back and look at smart things. They have sensors and a hub, and Control4 has a hub, but they didn't have the sensors. It was all sold through Card Access, so it just kind of makes sense that they would kind of, and like I said, they're the next door down in the office complex, so just kind of naturally.
It wasn't a surprise to anyone in the industry at all that the acquisition happened.
No, not at all.
I don't think there was a single person in the industry that was like, "Whoa, I can't believe that." It was a very natural progression and not a surprising move.
Now, I think we were kind of mostly wondering, like, why didn't this happen sooner? Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that kind of covers what happened over the last week.
Yeah, I think so. That was pretty much everything I wanted to cover.
Yeah, I guess I have a couple of home automation hubs to go by tomorrow, and some along with the fireworks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope you have a great 4th of July, Seth. I enjoyed the episode. Hopefully your listeners, took a little bit away from it. And once again, we would absolutely encourage people to stop by HomeTech.fm. Leave us a comment, leave us some feedback. Follow us on Twitter at HomeTech Podcast. And also one other thing that we've just been starting to promote is that we would love if people would call in. So we've got a new thing set up. And if you go to speakpipe.com/HomeTech.fm, you can leave us a 90-second voicemail, basically, that we'll play on a future episode. So if you have a question, a comment, maybe even something that you want to correct us on, like that you heard that we said that maybe you disagree with, call in, leave us a voicemail, and we'll feature you on a future episode. And we'll play your voicemail, and then we'll do our best to address it. So that's kind of a new thing that we're doing, and we hope that people kind of jump on that.
Definitely. I think I know one guy named Cody that's going to call us and probably tell us how much he likes Automotion Plus. Hey, Cody.
Yeah. All right, Seth. Well, I will let you go. I hope you enjoy your holiday weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Yep. Have a good one, Jason.
All right. Take care.
Yo.